Hey guys, it's Jonah here. I'm back doing another beer review, but you might have noticed I haven't been around for the last couple of days, and there is a good reason for that because I've been in pubs. I've been in different pubs as well. Thursday there was a camera meeting, and yeah, I had four pints before I realised that my name was on the actual agenda to talk about the tasting panel. And I don't know what I said because I was winging it, number one, because I didn't know I was going to have to say anything. And I'd had four beers in like an hour and a half, so I was a bit languid by that point. Um, so yeah, everyone seemed to like it, I think, but a lot of smiling faces. But because that was maybe because I was drunk as fuck. Who knows? And yesterday, we were at the Royston, and it's actually been announced, but it hasn't been publicised yet. But we went in and we told Andy, who runs the Royston, that he'd, for the second year in a row, won the Pub of the Year award for the Isle of Thanet, which is where I live. So if you're ever down in Broadstairs, definitely go to the Royston. I know it was a Friday and it was pretty busy, and there were a couple of no, it was two couples, so it would have been four people. Um, Came in the door, looked at the beers, looked around, realised it was full, and went, "Oh no, let's go to the Mind the Gap instead." Which Mind the Gap, fair dues, and it's closing down, which is a real shame. But hopefully someone will take it over and do some good stuff with that. But they walked out of Pub of the Year without having any drinks at all. They were unaware, obviously, blissfully unaware. But yeah, that's what happens. So well done, the Royston. Andy, the guy that runs it, yeah, he was quite happy about it too. Um, and yeah, if you're ever in the neck of the woods down on the island, definitely a place to go. So that's why I haven't been doing some reviews. I have been doing stuff on Untapped though. So if you want to click down below on Untapped, you will see what I have been going up to, or getting up to even. Anyway, I thought I'd do a special one. So this is a Vocation special edition called Doppelgänger. And I thought originally it was going to be a Doppelbock, but no, it's a DDH IPA, double dry hopped India Pale Ale, 6.7% on the old ABV. I got this in a supermarket deal, so I believe it was under £3 if you multiplied everything out. For a special edition beer over 6.5%, I think that's fantastic. Oh, the other thing is, I bought another of these beers because it was a guy from the local camera branch, Julian. I don't know if he watches my videos, I doubt he does. But it was his birthday, so I got an extra one of these and gave it to him as a birthday present. So, hey, I'm a nice guy at the end of the day. So let's have a look. Well, assuming it focuses on there. There we go. Doppelgänger, a bold and intense brew, double dry hop to release an increasing cascade of fruity aromas with a delicious sweetness and balancing earthy undertone. Double the hops, double the flavour. A single can will not be enough. Well, considering I've given mine away, yeah, it will have to be. We've got Simcoe and Mosaic. Strong aromas of mango and stone fruit balanced with zesty citrus bitterness and piney resinous finish. Wow. So, I really like, as you well know, Vocation. It is my best bud Jim, who sadly died. I've spoken about this before. It's his favourite brewery of all time. And I'm drinking his favourite beer because it would have been his 47th birthday on Monday. So I'm going to be drinking special beer for him. His favourite beer. I've done it the last couple of years. And yeah, sorry, I've already reviewed the beer, so I'm just going to be drinking it. So if you want to join me, life and death, ironically enough. Name of the beer from Vocation, all to my good bud Jim. Right, what am I doing? Sniffing an empty glass. That's not a good start. Never mind. Okay. Oh, and I've got my camera beer publication T-shirt on that I've cut the arms off. So sorry about the hairy bits, but that's how we roll down in Thanet. Right. Let's do this first. 2 fingers worth of head. Lovely, lovely, fluffy white head. You can see that. Quite large bubbles though, so they're going to I would say they're going to disappear pretty quick. Lovely. Oh yeah. I was going to say lovely resinous stuff, and the resin is there, but that stone fruit is there as well. Really interesting. Right, let me turn that round so we can see the Vocation. Let's have a quick look at the ingredients. Sorry, dear viewer, I should show you first. There we go. We have got oats in there. We've got obviously barley. Any sign? Just the allergens. Has it got any wheat in it? Doesn't say as part of the allergens, and it probably should say. But never mind. Never mind, dear viewer. Right, let's put that one down there. Doppelgänger. Oh, tell you what I've forgotten to do is the now legendary photograph. So there we go. So Vocation. There's the thing, bit like that, maybe, and get my face in the middle and do a cheesy grin. Like we almost planned to do it that way. Cheers and beers to you, dear viewer. The weekend is finally here, even though I had a fair few beers yesterday, but cheers. And the day before. And this is a 6.7% deeper. That's just how we roll. Cheers and beers. Yeah. That's really nice. The stone fruit does come through probably more than I've tasted in any other beer. Really weird. And Simcoe is more sort of orangey resinous, a little bit of tropicalness there. So it must be the mosaic that this is really coming through. And I've had lots of beers with mosaic in. But yeah, this is the first one that it's really heavily tasted of that stone fruity type thing. The resin is there too. Is it a juicy beer? No. So they've obviously put a lot of the hops in late. Well, it's a DDH, DDP. You lose weight and all that. It's an old wrestling thing. You might not understand that one, but DDH, double dry hopped. So basically, there's a shed load of hops gone in very, very late. After fermentation has kicked off, mainly. It makes a real difference whether you use hops within the actual boiling of the wort and adding the hops in to give bitterness, or you add it in afterwards. And it gives a lovely aroma. It does give you mouthfeel, but it doesn't give you so much bitterness. And this beer is not superbly bitter. It's definitely not in the same kind of league as an IPA, a West Coast IPA. They've called it an IPA, but they haven't really named it, to be honest. But because it's so hazy, and because I know Vocation reasonably well, over there at Hebden Bridge, they're very much kind of the new style kind of things. Although they do bitters and they do, I think, a lager now, but not so much of the old West Coast IPA style. It's a lot more modern IPA. I very much suspect Oh, wait a minute. There's the kind of juicy fruit, orange type thing that Simcoe has. I was going to say, I very much doubt whether they've used much Simcoe in the dry hop. So I was thinking perhaps what they've done, used the Simcoe in the boil. Maybe they haven't done a boil at all, or maybe no boil with hops, but I think they have. Yeah, sorry, dear viewer. Easily distracted when I'm drinking a 6.5% plus beer. Pardon me. Yes, what I was looking for was the Simcoe, and it is in there. But I would say, interestingly, in this particular beer, the kind of stone fruits come through more than the tropical fruits do, which is really unusual because a lot of beers these days, especially the modern style, the kind of more hazy IPA, should we call them, or the New England style, they have a lot more kind of tropical citrusy things, and they are in here, but they're just not at the front, which is really, really interesting. So what I'm thinking is perhaps they've used a yeast, whether they've done so knowingly or whether it's been a happy accident, but they've used a yeast that kind of brings out more of that isomerized stone fruit. It's the interaction between the yeast and the hops. Yeah, which is really good. And I'm liking this beer. I knew I was going to like it anyway because I like Vocation, usually, number one. And number two, I do like Mosaic. Simcoe, I'm kind of on the fence with Simcoe because of the whole juicy IPA or the juicy pale ale style, which I find I've got to be in the mood for because it's basically like drinking a juice. And in Simcoe's kind of thing, it's an orange juice or an orange mixed with perhaps a little bit of grapefruit, but it's a very kind of juicy kind of thing. Whereas this one, it is there, but it plays second fiddle, which is really good. Oh, that is a really lovely drop. There is also quite a nice amount of sweetness, residual sweetness there. So perhaps what's happened, let me put this glass down, Divya. Here we go, the Vocation. Yeah, maybe what's happened is that the kind of juiciness has balanced against number one, the alcohol, and against the kind of residual sweetness that's come from the malts. Doesn't actually say what the malts are, but there's definitely a little bit of sweetness around my lips. So, is there any crystal in there or something along those lines? But I would say it might be a good idea. The colour wasn't really kind of dark yellow though. It wasn't an amber, it was more just a sort of yellow or gold yellow kind of colour. And obviously it was a hazy, so it's difficult to kind of do yeah, a proper comparison with one of the kind of more West Coast styles, which tend to be a lot more clearer. But yeah, I think that sweetness maybe has taken the edge off the juice as well. It's weird because it was quite thirst quenching. So I think the bitterness, the sweetness, and that kind of juicy thing have kind of all molded together to create a really nice, smooth beer that's not too bitter, it's not too juicy, and because of the alcohol content and the haziness of the beer as well, it wasn't too watery, which is sometimes what's happened. So it's got a quite, I wouldn't say it's thick, it wasn't a milkshake kind of IPA by any standards, but by having a hazy beer, it's kind of given it a medium sort of body. Um, but yeah, really, really like that. Really interesting beer. Um, and I knew I was going to like it, but I do actually like it. So there we are. That is a Doppelgänger, if it focuses. Doppelgänger double dry hopped IPA. 6.5%. It is a big can. It's a special edition from Vocation. If you want to get it, for my calculation, is well under £3. Tesco's is probably your man in the UK. You can buy it from the brewery, of course, or anywhere that sells this. Go up to Hebden Bridge, or one of their pubs. I think there's one in Leeds, perhaps, in Manchester. You might even be able to pick it up on draft or cask. That would be absolutely fantastic, I reckon. But yes, go down to Tesco's, do their 4 for the price of 3 deal. You could get 4 of these, and then obviously you divide it by 3/4 of your final bill, which I think would work out. I think somewhere between £2.50 and £3 for a can. And I know it's a can from a supermarket, so that sounds a bit expensive even to me. But when you're paying £4.5, £5 for a pint of beer, getting a £2.51 from the supermarket, although it's not exactly a bargain, it's not too bad, is it? Anyway, thank you, dear viewer, for spending some of your time on this weekend with me. And Unclejona will return with another beer review real soon.